Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching the massive space station grow larger on the view screen. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. This was it. Humanity's first meeting with the Galactic Council. After 200 years of wondering if they were alone in the universe, humans had finally developed faster-than-light travel, and they had found a galaxy full of life. Impressive, isn't it? Ambassador Lisa Crawford stepped beside him. She wore a formal blue suit, her gray hair pulled back neatly. She had been a diplomat for 30 years, but even she looked nervous. 847 species, Jake said quietly. Hard to believe. The station was enormous. It looked like a silver wheel floating in space, with lights twinkling across its surface like stars. Ships of every shape and size docked at various ports. Some looked like crystals, others like living creatures. None looked like human ships. "Captain, we're being hailed," said Lieutenant Ben Hayes from the communications station. "Put it through," Jake ordered. A face appeared on the screen. It had 4 eyes, blue-scaled skin, and a mouth that seemed too wide. But the translator device worked perfectly, and the voice that came through sounded calm and welcoming. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Speaker Velthar of the Creathian people. The Galactic Council greets you in peace." Lisa stepped forward. "Thank you, Speaker. We are honored to be here. Please, dock at Port 17. We have much to discuss." The screen went dark. Jake gave the order, and the horizon moved smoothly toward the designated port. Commander Ben Hayes walked over to him, his military uniform crisp and clean. "Something feels off," Ben muttered, so only Jake could hear. "What do you mean? This station, those ships, they all look peaceful, too peaceful." Jake frowned, but said nothing. Ben had good instincts. He had served in the Marines for 15 years before joining the space program. If he sensed something, it was worth noting. The docking procedure went smoothly. Within an hour, Jake, Lisa, and Ben were walking through the corridors of the council station. Aliens of every type moved around them. Some floated, some walked on multiple legs, some seemed to phase in and out of visibility. But all of them stopped to stare at the humans. "They're curious," Lisa whispered. "We're the new kids." They entered the council chamber. It was a vast circular room with seats arranged in rows, each occupied by a different species. At the center stood Speaker Velthar, all 4 eyes fixed on the human delegation. "Humans of Earth," Velthar began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We welcome you as the 848th member of our council. We have watched your species with interest. You have survived much: wars, diseases, near extinction. Yet here you stand, ready to join the galactic community." Lisa bowed slightly. "We are grateful for this opportunity. We hope to learn from you and contribute to the peace you've built." "Peace. Yes," Velthar continued. "Peace is the foundation of our council. We have rules that all species must follow. One of the most important concerns warfare." Jake felt Ben tense beside him. "Warfare?" Lisa asked carefully. "Yes, conflicts arise, even among civilized species. Disagreements over territory, resources, trade routes. But we conduct such conflicts according to strict protocols, limited engagements, designated battlegrounds, minimal casualties. Diplomatic resolution is always preferred, but when military action is necessary, it must be civilized." Jake couldn't help himself. "Civilized warfare?" Velthar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Of course. What else would it be? We meet at agreed locations. We conduct limited exchanges. We count casualties and award victory based on predetermined conditions. Once a victor is declared, negotiations begin. Territories are exchanged, reparations paid, prisoners returned. This is how the galaxy has maintained peace for 1,000,000 years." The humans exchanged glances. Lisa cleared her throat. "That's very organized." It is necessary. Our ancestors learned the hard way that total warfare leads only to extinction, so we evolved. We created rules. We made warfare into something manageable. Ben leaned toward Jake. They're playing at war, he whispered. It's like a game to them. There is one matter we must address, Velthar continued. The Zorkan Dominion. They are an aggressive species, constantly pushing boundaries. But we manage them through measured responses. They take territory. We respond proportionally. Negotiations follow. It is a dance we have performed for 50 years. And you've never ended them? Jake asked. The chamber fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes turned toward him. Ended them? Velthar sounded confused. You mean destroy their species? Such a thought is barbaric. No, Captain. We contain them, redirect them, negotiate with them, but we do not seek to eliminate them. Lisa jumped in quickly. Of course. Captain Morrison simply meant bringing the conflict to a conclusion. All conflicts conclude, Velthar said. Eventually. Now, we have assigned your species a territory. 3 systems near the edge of Zorkan space. You may establish colonies there. Consider it your probationary period. Prove that humans can follow Council protocols, and you will be granted full membership. Near Zorkan space? Ben asked. Yes. Do not worry. They understand the rules. Any conflicts will be conducted properly. The meeting continued for another hour, covering trade agreements, technology exchanges, and cultural protocols. But Jake's mind kept returning to one phrase: civilized warfare. Later, back on the horizon, the 3 of them sat in the captain's ready room. They don't understand war, Ben said flatly. Not real war. They evolved past it, Lisa said. 1,000,000 years ago. They can't even conceive of total warfare anymore. It's not in their psychology. But it's in ours, Jake said quietly. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times. The world wars, nuclear weapons. We came within minutes of extinction during the Cold War. That was 300 years ago, Lisa pointed out. 300 years is nothing, Ben said. My grandfather told me stories his grandfather told him, about World War II, about Hiroshima. We remember, Lisa. Humanity remembers what real war looks like. Then we need to make sure it never comes to that, Lisa said firmly. We follow their rules. We integrate. We learn a better way. Jake nodded, but he couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The galaxy seemed peaceful, civilized, orderly. But peace built on rules only worked when everyone followed them. And he had a feeling the Zorkan might not play by the rules forever. Set course for New Seattle, he ordered. Let's establish our first colony. As the horizon moved away from the council station, none of them knew that within 6 months, everything would change. The Zorkan were coming, and they would teach the galaxy a terrible lesson. Never start a fight with someone who still remembers how to finish one. 6 months had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. New Seattle thrived on its new planet, with 10,000 colonists building homes, farms, and schools. Children played in alien grass that grew purple instead of green. Adults marveled at twin moons rising each night. It was peaceful. Then the Zorkan arrived. Admiral Chris Bennett sat in the command center of the Orbital Defense Station when the alert came through. His fingers moved quickly across the console, bringing up tactical displays. 15 Zorkan warships had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. "Get me a channel to their flagship," he ordered. The screen flickered to life, showing a reptilian face with sharp teeth and cold yellow eyes. This was Warlord Krax Tul, leader of the Zorkan Third Fleet. "Human colony of New Seattle," Krax Tul said, his voice carrying an air of bored routine. "I am Warlord Krax Tul of the Zorkan Dominion. According to Galactic Council protocols, I hereby claim this system. You have 48 hours to evacuate all civilians. Military forces may remain for the formal engagement, which will take place at the following coordinates: A data packet appeared on Bennett's screen. "We will meet in 3 days. May the best species win." Bennett stared at the screen. Then he did something that surprised everyone watching. He laughed. "You're giving us time to evacuate civilians?" Crackstool's eyes narrowed. "Of course, Council protocols require civilian safety. We are not savages." "And you're sending us the coordinates of the battle? In advance?" "Standard procedure. Both fleets meet at a neutral location. Limited engagement follows. Victory conditions are predetermined. This is how civilized species conduct warfare." Bennett's laughter died. His face became cold. "Let me get this straight. You attack us, but you give us time to prepare. You tell us where you'll be. You limit your own forces. And you call this warfare?" "I call it civilized. What do you call it?" "On Earth, we call it suicide." The channel went dead. Bennett immediately opened a line to Earth. Within minutes, he was speaking directly to General Ryan Parker, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. "They're following Council protocols," Bennett reported. "Limited engagement, predetermined battlefield. They're treating this like a chess game." "What are your orders, Admiral?" Parker asked. "Begin evacuation of New Seattle immediately. But I'm not surrendering. And I'm sure as hell not showing up to their scheduled battle." "You're going to refuse the engagement?" "No, sir. I'm going to teach them what human warfare looks like." On Earth, in a secure bunker beneath Geneva, Dr. Maya Rodriguez presented her findings to the assembled military leadership. She was a xenoanthropologist, an expert on alien cultures, and what she had discovered terrified her. "Every Council species evolved past total warfare millions of years ago," she explained, her hands shaking slightly as she manipulated holographic displays. "They nearly destroyed themselves, then changed. Genetically, culturally, psychologically. They literally cannot conceive of modern warfare. To them, war is a ritual, a formality, a way to settle disputes without real destruction." "But not us," Lisa Crawford said quietly. She had been called back from the Council station for this meeting. "No, not us." Maya pulled up images from human history, trenches from World War I, mushroom clouds over Japanese cities, burned cities in Syria. "We came within hours of extinction multiple times. We dropped atomic bombs on cities. We invented weapons that could end all life on Earth. That was only 300 years ago. We still remember. Our grandparents remember. It's in our cultural DNA. So when the Zorkan attack us expecting a limited engagement," General Parker began. "We're going to destroy them," Bennett finished coldly. "Not defeat them. Destroy them." Lisa stood up. "We can't. The Council will never accept it. They'll see us as monsters." "The Council let the Zorkan attack us," Bennett said. "Where were they? Where was this precious peace they promised? The Zorkan are following the rules. Their rules, not ours." The room fell silent. Finally, President Daniel Torres spoke from his seat at the head of the table. "Ambassador Crawford, send a formal message to the Zorkan. Tell them we reject their terms. Tell them to withdraw from our territory immediately or face total military retaliation." "Total military retaliation," Lisa repeated. "They won't understand what that means." "Then they'll learn." The message was sent. On his flagship, Warlord Crackstool read it and laughed. The humans were posturing. They had 6 ships. He had 15. The Council would oversee the engagement. Victory was certain. He sent a reply. "Your bravado is noted. We will proceed with the engagement as scheduled. Prepare your forces." What Crackstool didn't know was that Earth's 6 visible ships were just the beginning. Humanity had learned paranoia from centuries of close calls. Every colony had hidden defenses. Every civilian transport could become a missile platform. Every seemingly peaceful satellite carried weapons. And unlike the Council species, humans had never stopped preparing for the worst. Commander Ben Hayes stood in the briefing room of the stealth ship Nightfall. Around him sat 50 Special Forces operators, men and women who had trained for years in zero-gravity combat, infiltration, and sabotage. "The Zorkon think we'll meet them at their coordinates," Ben explained. "They think we'll follow the rules. They're wrong. While their fleet waits for us, we're going behind their lines. These are your targets." Images appeared on the screen. Shipyards, supply depots, communication relays, command stations. "We hit everything at once. We don't disable. We don't capture. We destroy." A young lieutenant raised his hand. "Sir, won't the Council consider this a war crime?" "The Council considers war a game. We know it's survival. Any other questions?" Silence. "Good. We launch in 2 hours." Back at New Seattle, civilians boarded transport ships. Parents held children. Elderly couples gathered precious belongings. But they weren't panicking. They knew their military would protect them. That's what humans did. Admiral Bennett watched the evacuation proceed smoothly. His tactical officer approached. "Admiral, the Zorkan fleet is moving to the designated coordinates. They're waiting for us." "Let them wait." "How long until Operation Black Eagle is ready?" "All assets in position, sir. We can begin on your order." Bennett thought about the Council, about their rules and their civilized warfare, about the Zorkon who thought this would be another easy victory, about Earth, which had survived world wars, nuclear weapons, and 100 near extinctions. "Execute Operation Black Eagle," he said quietly. "And may God have mercy on them because we won't." Across 12 star systems, human forces moved into position. The Zorkon had no idea what was coming. They were about to learn the difference between civilized warfare and human warfare. They were about to discover that humanity didn't fight wars. Humanity annihilated enemies. The Zorkon fleet waited at the designated coordinates for 3 hours. Warlord Craxtool paced on his bridge, growing impatient. Where were the humans? This was not protocol. Both sides were supposed to arrive on time, present their forces, and begin the formal engagement. "Perhaps they surrendered," his tactical officer suggested. "Without informing us? Impossible! They must be—" The communication console exploded in a shower of sparks. Then another, and another. Across the Zorkon fleet, ships suddenly went dark, as their long-range communications were destroyed by precision strikes from weapons they never saw coming. "What is happening?" Craxtool roared. He would never get an answer. At that moment, 1,000 light-years away, Commander Ben Hayes and his team planted charges on the main Zorkon shipyard. They had infiltrated using stealth technology the Council didn't even know existed. No alarms had sounded. No guards had seen them. "Charges set," Ben whispered into his communicator. 30 seconds to detonation." His team vanished into the shadows, boarding their stealth ship, just as the shipyard exploded in a brilliant flash. The facility that had built Zorkon warships for 3 centuries was gone in an instant. Every ship under construction, every blueprint, every engineer deleted from existence. And it wasn't alone. At exactly the same moment, 37 other human Special Forces teams struck across Zorkon space. Fuel depots went up in massive fireballs. Supply stations crumbled. Communication relays turned to scrap metal. Command centers lost all power. In space above the Zorkon homeworld, Captain Nick Sullivan commanded the submarine-turned-spaceship Phantom. His vessel was designed for one purpose: invisible killing. The Zorkan orbital defense platforms never detected him. One by one, they simply exploded. "Defense grid down," Nick reported calmly. "Homeworld is exposed." Admiral Bennett's voice came through. "Good work, Captain. I repeat, do not fire on civilian targets. Military only." "Understood, sir. Their military command center is located downtown, though. There might be collateral damage." Evacuate the area first. Drop warnings in their language. Give them 10 minutes. 10 minutes, sir. We're not monsters, Captain. We don't kill civilians if we can avoid it. Nick Sullivan launched a dozen small drones that broadcast warnings in Zorkan language. The message was simple. Clear the government district. Military strike incoming in 10 minutes. This is your only warning. Panic spread through the Zorkan capital. Civilians ran. Some didn't believe the warnings. Others thought it was a drill. At exactly 10 minutes, a single missile struck the military command center with pinpoint accuracy. The building that had coordinated Zorkan military operations for 200 years collapsed into rubble. Back at the designated battle coordinates, Warlord Craxtool finally received a message, but it wasn't from his homeworld or his bases. It was from Admiral Bennett. Warlord Craxtool, in the last 6 hours, we have destroyed 94% of your military infrastructure. Your shipyards are gone. Your supply lines are cut. Your homeworld's defenses are offline. Your command centers are rubble. You have one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You have 5 minutes to comply. Craxtool's hands shook. This couldn't be real. This wasn't how warfare worked. You didn't strike the homeworld. You didn't destroy infrastructure. You didn't attack without warning. This was barbarism. Never, he roared. We are Zorkan. We do not surrender to primitives. All ships, attack vector. Time's up, Bennett said coldly. The human fleet appeared from nowhere. They hadn't been at the coordinates because they had been surrounding the Zorkan fleet, invisible and patient. Now they struck from every direction. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. Zorkan shields lasted seconds against weapons designed to penetrate, not just damage. Human missiles didn't just hit, they killed. Within 3 minutes, 8 Zorkan warships were nothing but expanding clouds of debris. The remaining 7 ships tried to flee. Pursuing targets, Lieutenant Sam Johnson reported from her fighter. She and 200 other pilots had launched from hidden carriers. They moved like a school of predatory fish, overwhelming Zorkan point defenses. 3 ships destroyed, 4 remaining. 1 Zorkan vessel broadcast surrender. It powered down weapons and stopped moving. Boarding team, secure that ship, Bennett ordered. Any vessel that surrenders is to be treated according to military law. Any vessel that continues fighting will be destroyed. 2 more ships surrendered. The last 2 tried to fight. They lasted 90 seconds. War correspondent Elena Martinez broadcast everything. The galaxy watched in real time as humanity demonstrated what they called warfare. The council chamber fell silent. Species that had never known fear began to feel it. Speaker Velthar's 4 eyes were wide with shock. They destroyed everything. The shipyards, the supply lines, the homeworld defenses, all in 6 hours. How is this possible? Dr. Maya Rodriguez, watching from Earth, could have told him. Humans had been practicing total warfare for thousands of years. They knew how to find weak points. They knew logistics won wars, not battles. They knew that if you wanted to end a conflict, you removed the enemy's ability to fight. The council species had forgotten these lessons 1,000,000 years ago. Humans had learned them yesterday. In Zorkan space, Commander Ben Hayes stood in the captured command center. Warlord Craxtool knelt before him, surrounded by human marines. You're monsters, Craxtool said. This isn't war. This is annihilation. No, Ben said quietly. This is what war actually looks like. You've been playing games for so long you forgot. We didn't. The Council will never accept this. The Council isn't here. We are. Ben looked around at the ruins of the command center. But we're not here to conquer you. We're here to make sure you never threaten us again. Your military is broken. Your ability to wage war is gone. But your people, your cities, your civilization, those remain. You can rebuild. But next time, don't start fights. You can't finish. Admiral Bennett's final report to Earth was simple. Enemy military capability eliminated. Zorkan Dominion no longer poses a threat. Human casualties 891, mostly from the initial New Seattle attack. Enemy civilian casualties 2,147, all from necessary military strikes with advance warnings. Enemy military casualties, approximately 78,000. Mission complete. The galaxy had spent 50 years managing the Zorkan threat through careful diplomacy and limited engagements. Humanity had ended it in 3 weeks. The Council would never look at humans the same way again. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering in 500 years. Every species sent representatives. The chamber buzzed with hundreds of languages, all translated by the station's computers. But everyone was saying the same thing. What do we do about the humans? Speaker Velthar called the session to order. His 4 eyes looked tired. He had not slept in 3 days. The matter before us is clear, he began. The human species has violated every principle of civilized warfare. They struck without formal engagement. They destroyed infrastructure. They attacked homeworlds. They showed no mercy to military forces. The Zorkan Dominion, which we spent 50 years managing, has been reduced to a helpless territory in 3 weeks. Angry voices rose from the assembled species. They must be punished, expelled from the Council, quarantined in their own system. We should have never accepted them. Velthar raised his hand for silence. Ambassador Lisa Crawford has requested to speak. Despite the circumstances, I will grant this request. Lisa walked to the center of the chamber. She wore the same blue suit she had worn 6 months ago, but she looked older now. The weight of what humanity had done pressed on her shoulders. Members of the Council, she began, her voice steady, you call what we did barbaric. You say we violated every principle of civilized warfare. You're right. We did. And I'm here to explain why. A 3-dimensional display activated above her. Images began to appear. This is Earth, year 1914, the Great War. 10 million soldiers dead. Chemical weapons. Machine guns mowing down thousands. This is 1945. Nuclear weapons dropped on cities. Hundreds of thousands killed in seconds. This is 1962. The world came within hours of total nuclear war. This is 2087. The water wars. 2 billion dead. The chamber fell silent as image after image appeared. Burning cities, refugees, mushroom clouds, mass graves. You evolved past total warfare 1 million years ago, Lisa continued. Your species barely remember what it looked like. But we remember. My great-grandmother survived the water wars. My grandfather's grandfather fought in World War II. We are only 300 years removed from almost destroying ourselves. We didn't evolve past total war. We survived it. That makes you dangerous, someone shouted. Yes, Lisa said simply. It does, but not in the way you think. Ambassador Kate Williams, Lisa's deputy, stepped forward. She was younger, harder. Where Lisa spoke with regret, Kate spoke with steel. You call it war, Kate said, her voice cutting through the chamber. You have rules, honor, limited engagements, predetermined battlefields. That's not war. That's a game, a ritual, something you do because you forgot what real war costs. We created these rules to preserve life, Velthar protested. And we respect that, Kate replied. But when the Zorkan attacked us, following your rules, what did the Council do? Nothing. You told us that conflicts would be handled through measured responses. You told us we'd be safe. But when they came, you weren't there. We were alone. The Zorkan followed protocol. Their protocol, Kate shot back. Not ours. You expected us to play by rules we never agreed to, against an enemy who wanted to take our home. What did you think would happen? Admiral Victoria Lopez stepped forward next. She was head of Human Naval Intelligence, and she brought data. You want to know what else we've been doing these 6 months? She activated another display. Every human colony is a fortress, hidden weapons, underground bunkers, encrypted communications. Every civilian ship has military-grade shields. Every human adult has basic combat training. The council members stared in shock. "You're preparing for war," Velthar said. "Constant war." "We're preparing to survive," Victoria corrected, "because we learned the hard way that peace is fragile, that civilized rules only work when everyone follows them, that when your existence is threatened, the only response is overwhelming force." A new voice spoke up. Thexpar was an old member of the Council, a species that had been part of the galaxy for 3 million years. His people were scholars, historians, philosophers. "I have studied human culture," Thexpar said slowly. "I have read their books, watched their films, listened to their music, and I understand something many of you do not." He looked around the chamber. "They are not monsters. They are traumatized." Silence fell. "Every human carries the memory of almost dying," Thexpar continued. "Every child learns about the wars that nearly ended them. Every city has memorials to the dead. Every nation remembers the day they almost disappeared. They are a species suffering from collective trauma, and we invited them into our peaceful galaxy without understanding this." "Then they should not be here," someone shouted. "No," said a young voice. "We should." Claire Morrison stepped forward. She was Jake Morrison's daughter, 23 years old, a civilian observer at the council. She wasn't supposed to speak, but no one stopped her. "You think we're proud of what we can do?" Claire's voice shook with emotion. "You think we celebrate being good at killing? We're terrified. Every day we're terrified that we'll become the monsters we know we could be. That's why we came to you, to learn a better way." Tears ran down her face. "My father is a military captain. My mother was a teacher who died in the water wars. I grew up hearing stories about how humanity almost ended. About nuclear weapons and bioweapons and all the ways we nearly killed ourselves. We don't want to be warriors. We want to be explorers, teachers, friends. But when the Zorkon attacked, when we were alone, we did what we had to do to survive." She looked directly at Velthar. "Judge us if you want. Expel us if you must. But understand this. We came to the stars hoping to be better than we were. You taught us we still have to be what we are, survivors." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Velthar spoke. "The council will vote. Should humanity remain as members or be expelled?" The vote was close. 342 for expulsion, 380 for remaining. The humans would stay, but trust was broken. That night, something unexpected happened. 12 species approached Lisa Crawford privately. They were smaller nations, border territories, species that had been pushed around by larger powers. "We want defense treaties," they said, "with Earth." "You're afraid of us," Lisa said. "Yes," one ambassador admitted, "but we're more afraid of others. You proved you can protect your own. That's what we need." Lisa looked at Kate, at Victoria, at Claire. They had come to the stars seeking peace. Instead, they had become what the galaxy feared most, a military power. But perhaps, she thought, that was what the galaxy needed. 1 year after the Zorkon War, Earth had changed. So had the galaxy. President Daniel Torres sat in his office in New Washington, looking at reports from across human space. 20 colonies now, all thriving. Trade agreements with 40 species. Defense treaties with 12. But the cost gnawed at him. "We're isolated," he said to Jake Morrison, who had been promoted to admiral. "Half the council won't trade with us. They cross the corridor when our diplomats approach. We're the galaxy's guard dog. Useful, but feared." "Better feared than extinct," Jake replied. But his voice lacked conviction. A priority transmission interrupted them. Admiral Chris Bennett's face appeared, urgent. "Mr. President, we have a situation. The Council has called an emergency session. Something's coming from outside the galaxy. The council chamber was packed again, but this time the mood was different. Not anger, fear. Speaker Velthar's 4 eyes were wide as he addressed the assembly. 3 days ago, our deep space monitoring detected something. A fleet, not from any known species. They came from outside our galaxy, from the void between star clusters. An image appeared. Ships, thousands of them. Dark, angular, wrong somehow. They are called the Vextar, Velthar continued. We made contact. They responded with one message: submit or die. Then they destroyed an entire star system to demonstrate their power. Murmurs of panic spread through the chamber. They have been conquering galaxies for millions of years, Velthar said. They do not negotiate. They do not follow protocols. They do not limit their warfare. They are what we evolved beyond, what we feared we might become again. Lisa Crawford understood immediately. The Vextar were what the Council had been terrified humans might be, except worse. How long until they reach Council space? She asked. 6 months, maybe less. Admiral Bennett pulled up tactical data. His face went pale as he studied the Vextar fleet movements. They fight like us, he said quietly. No, they fight worse than us. Total warfare, complete destruction. They don't just defeat enemies, they erase them. The Council dissolved into chaos. Species demanded protection. Others wanted to surrender immediately. Some suggested fleeing to another galaxy. Through it all, Velthar remained silent, his eyes eventually finding the human delegation. You wish to speak, he said to Lisa. It wasn't a question. Lisa stood slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. You need our help, she said simply. Yes, Velthar admitted, and for the first time, he sounded defeated. You are the only species here that understands this kind of warfare, the only ones who can fight them. And you hated us for that. We feared you. We still do. But now you need us. Velthar lowered his head. Yes. President Torres stepped forward, standing beside Lisa. Before we discuss helping, I need to know something. Are you asking us to be your weapon? Or your partners? The chamber fell silent. This was the question that mattered. Would humans be the galaxy's soldiers, sent to die protecting species that despise them? Or would they be equals? A young council member stood. Her name was Arianel, and she represented a species that had been neutral about humans. She was only 30 cycles old, young by council standards. I propose the Terran Protocol, she said, her voice clear. Humans train our military forces, not to make us killers, but to prepare us for real threats. We learn from their experience. In return, they are granted full council membership, equal voice, equal rights, true partners. You want them to teach us to be like them? Someone protested. I want them to teach us to survive, Arianel shot back. The Vextar are coming. Our civilized warfare means nothing to them. We either adapt or we die. The vote was called. This time, it wasn't close. 402 in favor, 246 against. The Terran Protocol passed. Within a week, human military advisors were spread across the galaxy. Commander Olivia Grant, a young officer who had studied the Zorkan war tactics, found herself teaching basic strategy to alien generals who had commanded forces for centuries. You've been fighting wars like chess games, she explained to a group of senior officers from various species. The Vextar don't play chess. You need to think differently. Where are their supply lines? What do they need to function? How do you strike where they're weakest, not strongest? The alien officers struggled with concepts humans took for granted. Guerrilla warfare, asymmetric tactics, total destruction of enemy capabilities. But slowly, they learned. Meanwhile, Jake Morrison commanded a joint task force, the first time human and council ships had served together. His second in command was a Crethean officer named Sekvon. Your people frighten mine, Sekvon admitted one day. I know, Jake said. But I am glad you are here. So am I. The Zorkan, surprisingly, requested to join the defense fleet. Warlord Crackstool, stripped of his rank but not his courage, approached Commander Ben Hayes. You destroyed us, Crackstool said. But then you rebuilt our hospitals. You left our government intact. You withdrew your forces. We do not understand humans. We don't fight for conquest, Ben explained. We fight for survival. Once you weren't a threat, you weren't an enemy. Then let us fight beside you now. We owe you a debt. Ben considered, then nodded. Welcome aboard. When the Vextar finally arrived, they found something they hadn't expected. The galaxy was ready, not with ritual warfare or limited engagements, but with real tactics, real strategy, real determination. The first battle was brutal. The Vextar had numbers and experience, but the Council had learned. They didn't meet the enemy in open space. They struck supply lines. They used guerrilla tactics. They fought smart instead of fair. And the humans fought alongside them, not as weapons, but as teachers and partners. Admiral Bennett watched the battle unfold from his command ship. Beside him, Speaker Velthar observed quietly. You were right to fear us, Bennett said. Yes. But you were wrong about why. You thought we were dangerous because we're good at violence. We're dangerous because we remember what it costs. Velthar's 4 eyes blinked. I am beginning to understand the difference. The war with the Vextar would last years. There would be victories and defeats, lives lost and worlds burned. But the galaxy fought together now, united not by rules and protocols, but by common purpose. On Earth, Claire Morrison watched the news feeds. Her father's ship was at the front lines. So were ships from species who had feared humans a year ago. Now they fought together. She thought about what her mother used to say before the water wars killed her. Peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the choice to protect what matters, together. Lisa Crawford made her final log entry for the night. We came to the stars hoping to be better than we were. The galaxy taught us we still had to be what we are. But maybe, just maybe, we can be both. Survivors and protectors, warriors and partners, human. In the darkness between stars, the war continued. But for the first time since humanity reached the cosmos, they weren't fighting alone. And that made all the difference.